Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. 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 Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yasoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yasoda Nandana Vrajana Ranjana. Yasoda Nandana Vrajana Ranjana. Yasoda Nandana Vrajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Muna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. 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 Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yasoda Nandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. 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 Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Muna Tira Vanachari. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. 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 Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Namacharya Sriharidasa Thakur ki, Prem si Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki, Shri Vrindavan Dham ki, Shri Mathura Dham ki, Shri Dwarka Dham ki, Shri Mayapur Dham ki, Shri Navadvip Dham ki, Shri Jagannath Puri Dham ki, Shri Yamuna Mai ki, Shri Ganga Mai ki, Shri Tulasi Devi ki, Gaur Prema Agro eso hacemos devotis, agro eso hacemos, agro eso hacemos, agro eso sí seguro. Hare Krishna, good morning. Thank you for being here. And today we're going to continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 46, and text number 43. This is not here. My glasses. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Trying to do it without glasses, but it's not working. All right, so Uddhava visits Vrindavan. All right, go directly to the verse, all right? Oh, this is a longer, right? Krishna, yeah. Like Drishtam, Stutam, that one? Alright. Drishtam, Stutam, Bhutavavar, Bhavishyat. Stutam, Bhavishyat. Stasnu Sharishnu Mahad Alpal Kamcham. Bina Chatad Vastutaram Navacham. Saheva Sarvam Paramatma Bhutaha. Rishtam Shutam Bhutavava Varisha Stasnu Sharusnis Madhad Alpakamcha Vina Chvata Vastutaram Navacham Sa eva sarvam paramatma bhutaha Rishtam Shutam Bhutavava Varishyat Stasnus Charisnur Mahad Alpakamcha Vina Chutar Vastuturam Nat Mavacham Sa evan sarvam paramatma bhutaha Vishnam Stutam Bhutavava Vashishyat Tasnu Sharushnur Mahad Alpakamcha Vina Chuta Vastutaram Natachva Sa eva sarvam paramatma bhutaha Vistam Vistam Bhutavava Vavishyat Tasnu Sharishnus Mahal Alpakamcham Vina Chita Vasutarun Navacham Aiva Sarvam Paramana Bhutam. All right. Drishtam, seen. Shutam, heard. Bhuta, past. Bhavat, present. Bhavishyat, future. Stasnu, stationary. Karishnu, mobile. Mahad, large. Alkapam, small. Cha, and. Vina, apart from. Achyutat, the infallible Lord Krishna. Vastu, thing. Taram, at all. Na, is not. Vachyam, capable of being named. Saha, he. Eva, alone. Sarvam, everything. Paramatma, as a supersoul. Bhuta, manifesting. Translation by disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Nothing can be said to exist independent of Lord Achyuta, nothing heard or seen, nothing in the past, present, or future, nothing moving or unmoving, great or small. He indeed is everything, for he is the Supreme Soul. Let's repeat. Nothing can be said to exist independent of Lord Achyuta. Nothing heard or seen, nothing in the past, present, or future, nothing moving or unmoving, great or small. He indeed is everything, for he is the Supreme Soul. So there's a small purport here. Sri Uddhava is relieving the distress of Nanda and Yasoda by bringing them to a more philosophical plane. He is explaining that since Lord Krishna is everything and is within everything, his pure devotees are always with him. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale Vishnu Swami Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale Okay, so we're gonna go to we have some commentaries by the Acharyas. I'll just read that real quick. This is Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur. Actually, O King of Braja, this is you too and others also should know that Krishna is the whole universe, since it is made of his energy. You should also speak about him accordingly. All things, big and small, seen and heard, cannot exist independently of him. Vastu nataram. Nothing can be spoken of independent of him. Na vacham. Jiva Goswami says, his being all Atmas is the cause of his condition described in the previous verse. The cause of his independence is that he is the root of all beings, Paramatma Bhutaha. Another version has Paramatma Bhutaha with the same meaning. And then Sanatana Goswami, that's another report. One should not think that he will be delayed in coming because he is far away. Visible or invisible objects, moving or non-moving living beings, are all dependent on him. He never deviates at all, Achyuta, because he is everything, Sarvam. As the Ataryami of all jivas, he alone exists, Paramatma Bhutaha. Another version has Paramatma Bhutaha with the same meaning. Appearing here, since he pervades everywhere, he will quickly show himself. So, this, sorry. I wanted to read a little bit from the Krishna book to get a context of what's going on, but basically now we're reading that Uddhava came back to Vrindavan, requested by Krishna to go and pacify the residents of Vrindavan. And in the Krishna book, Srila Prabhupada explains that it was actually Krishna's special mercy in Uddhava to send him to actually, he uses the word kind of like educate, I think, or so he can actually realize what's the highest love for him from the residents of Vrindavan. And sorry, I wanted to read a little bit from the Krishna book. About a few verses back towards the verse we're in. Let's see. There's the way Prabhupada explains everything, and he obviously explains the philosophy is great. Just give me a minute. Somehow I lost it. So Uddhava is actually at one point hearing from the residents of Vrindavan, specifically Nanda Maharaj, Maya Yasoda, how they're intensely absorbed in pastimes of Krishna, and when they see some places, when they came back to Vrindavan, they saw, and they remember, oh, Krishna, here he did this, here he played his flute, here he embraced us in this way. So they completely absorbed in Krishna. So it says, okay, I'll try to do this. While describing the uncommon activities of Krishna before Uddhava, Nanda Maharaj gradually became overwhelmed. I could no longer speak. As for Mother Yasoda, she sat by the side of her husband and heard the pastimes of Krishna without speaking. She simply cried incessantly, and milk poured from her breast. When Uddhava saw Maharaj Nanda and Yasoda so extraordinarily overwhelmed with thoughts of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and when he experienced their extraordinary affection for him, he also became overwhelmed and spoke as follows. My dear Yasoda and Nanda Maharaj, you are most respectable among human beings because no one but you can meditate in such transcendental ecstasy. Uddhava continued, Balaram and Krishna are the original personalities of Godhead, for whom the cosmic manifestation emanates. They are chief among all personalities. Each of them is both the material and the efficient cause of this material creation. Material nature is conducted by the Purusha incarnations, who all act under Krishna and Balaram. By their partial representation, they enter the hearts of all living entities. They are the source of all knowledge and all forgetfulness. Also, this is confirmed by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita 15th chapter. I am present in everyone's heart, and I cause one to remember or forget. I am the original compiler of the Vedanta, and I am the actual knower of the Vedas. Uddhava continue, if that the time of death, a person can fix his pure mind upon Krishna even for a moment after giving up his material body, he becomes eligible to appear in his original spiritual body, just as the sun rises with all illumination. Passing from his life in this way, he immediately enters into the spiritual kingdom Vaikuntha. Okay, and now Prabhupada explains a little bit. This is a result of Krishna conscious practice. If we practice Krishna consciousness in this present body while in a healthy condition and in good mind, simply by chanting the holy Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, we will have every possibility of fixing the mind upon Krishna at the time of death. If we do this, then our lives become successful without any doubt. But if we keep our minds always absorbed in future activities for material enjoyment, then naturally at the time of death we shall think of such activities and again be forced to enter material conditioned bodies to suffer the threefold miseries of material existence. Therefore, to remain always absorbed in Krishna consciousness wasn't a standard of the inhabitants of Vrindavan as exhibited by Maharaj Nanda, Yasoda, and the gopis. If we can simply follow in their footsteps, even to a minute proportion, our lives will surely become successful and we shall enter the spiritual kingdom Vaikuntha. Okay, I'll do a pause here. But, well, reading all this and remembering some of the things we actually come to learn from Krishna and Bhagavad Gita, and we understand that this material world is, Prabhupada, I think, puts it as a perverted reflection. It's like a distorted reflection of a spiritual world. So we can understand, some of the, of the dynamics of the spiritual world, and we can see that in the pastimes of Lord Krishna right here, where if the residents of Vrindavan are exhibiting that complete absorption, it's basically love, complete love for Krishna, that they're always thinking of him. And that's one thing that Prabhupada explains earlier in the Krishna book too, that in this chapter, that Krishna, and he says actually the acharyas always say this, that Krishna, it seems like Krishna broke his promise. He actually told the residents and the gopis especially, I'm coming back. And he's not coming back, and he sends Uddhavan. And when he's entering Vrindavan, he's seeing all these interactions of the devotees. And you can understand that everything revolves around Krishna, and that Krishna is actually present. And that's what is explained, that Krishna in one sense didn't break his promise because he's always in Vrindavan. And the devotees are actually completely absorbed in with Krishna, that he's always with him. Let's see. I'm going to do one more paragraph and then I'll go with other things I wanted to talk about. Well, related. So, my dear Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, Uddhava continue, you have thus fixed your minds wholly and solely upon that Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayan, whose transcendental form is the cause of impersonal Brahma. The Brahma effulging is only the bodily rays of Narayan, and because you are always absorbed in ecstatic thoughts of Krishna and Balaram, what pious activities remains for you to perform? I have brought a message from Krishna that he will very soon come back to Vrindavan and satisfy you by his personal presence. Krishna promised that he would come back to Vrindavan after finishing his business in Mathura. This promise he surely fulfilled. I therefore request the two of you, who are the best among all who are fortunate, not to be aggrieved on account of Krishna's absence. You are already perceiving his presence 24 hours a day, yet he will come and see you very soon. So that was one thing that struck me. It's like they're perceiving Krishna's presence all the time. And that's one thing I remember, and we were talking one time about the process in the kitchen, about how Krishna consciousness is a spiritual science, and the difference between material science and spiritual science is that in material science you do an experiment and you have to have a control experiment, something you have to be able to control, and you can reproduce it and you can actually show it to others. Other people can actually see it. But in spiritual science, the experiment is personal. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, you can perceive, and that's something you cannot give to others. You can only perceive it yourself. So the residents of Vrindavan are perceiving Krishna 24 hours a day or night. It's like that, and Prabhupada, that's what he's saying is, if I actually can do it to a minute degree of what they do it, our life is successful. Now, while reading all this, I just remember some of my interactions this past couple months. As you all know, I go away for a little time, and then I spend time with my relatives, and I've been doing that for a few years. Well, I spent a few years there. It's only 6 years. But slowly, I've been having conversations with friends and relatives. They inquire, and you can see, just as you can perceive a little bit, or I can perceive, how I'm slowly trying to understand and actually realize, because that's one thing, that we can actually read these things, the philosophy, and understand things. We can understand we're not the body, but to realize it is a different thing. You have to, the process is actually made up. Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada actually gave us a process so we can actually start to perceive and realize things, and realize the knowledge, and how we approach Krishna. So it's based on our sincerity and our desire too. Krishna is reciprocating. So seeing that, and then seeing in other people that you're interacting with, and in particular, I was having conversations with my sister-in-law. I come from a Catholic background. My brother was Catholic, in a sense, and he became Christian many years ago. Then he met his wife in the church, and they got married. And she was raised in a Christian family, and she knows a lot. So they go to church, and lately they've been trying to look for other churches, because I think a great deal of interpretation is put into the Bible sometimes. So some pastors will interpret a little bit different. So she was telling me she didn't like some things, but we've been having this conversation since last year, which is for me was extraordinary, because usually I don't want to learn from other paths that much. And she was asking me a lot of questions about what I believe in and all these things. So she would agree with a lot of the things, like one of my uncles, that he's a born-again Catholic, you could say, would do, but there were some points where he wouldn't be able to accept. So she wasn't actually refuting. She was actually, when I was telling her some things basic about, the soul, God, the relationship, she would actually, oh yes, in the Bible says this, oh yes, in the Bible says that. So she was very much going back to the many passages of the Bible, and was reaffirming what I was saying. But one thing that she couldn't get through was karma and reincarnation. And the reason, I believe, is because after a few conversations, and he would, and she would come, they live next door, and they have two small kids, and sometimes she would come, and we would talk for so long, like an hour or so, and then the kids would come and say, hey Mom, we're waiting for you. She would forget about, like the kids. And that point that I realized is probably because I was brought up in Catholic Church, and usually you think your body and soul. You have, right? So, and that my understanding is that's why, you think there's going to be a resurrection of the body, because the soul is resting there, and when Lord Jesus Christ comes, then it'll come back to life. So it's part of your being. So she was telling me, why would you suffer something from another person? Because she's connecting to a body, so she thinks another body is another person. And I was trying to break through that, and we only talk about this twice, but she was really trying to understand, but she couldn't get that out of, that connection, that the soul, we're actually just the soul. So, and that made me think, we all have, well, at least I have, some things, that, and we experience this process very gradually, and there's some things that sometimes kind of like these upadis or attachments, that holds us back. They're holding us back, and somehow we don't see how we're attached to it. We don't see how we're hanging to it. And when we try to share Krishna consciousness, sometimes Krishna, or most of the time I would say, he actually reveals to us, or at least tries to, if we're attentive, that how is it because we can see it, and especially, we say all the time that we can see how we can see other people's attachment more than we can see ours, right? Or faults, whatever you want to call it. It's easier to see it in other people than is, and when you see it, it's usually a reflection of what you have. It's something you're dealing with. It's not really, that's probably why it's easier to see. Usually we hear pure devotees actually, pure devotees usually don't see faults, right? They just see is a pure devotees basically, and it might be in the making, but they don't see the faults. They just see that potential, or just purity. They don't see that filter that is coming through. So I remember that, and we all have that, and in the scriptures we have some examples. And Charunani Mataji gave class 2 days ago. I think she was talking about, he gave the example of Bharat Maharaj, that he got attached to a deer, right? And you would think it's such a innocent attachment in a sense, it's just an innocent baby deer that is left without the mother, and he started caring about him, and it just happened. He just got so absorbed in the deer, in their relationship with the deer, that another life as a deer, right? Obviously, such an advanced personality, then he was able to continue his Krishna consciousness and associate with devotees, sages, as a deer. So, and I was going to say, he was a very solid personality, and it got me thinking. It's like that attachment, the difference when it's comparing that pastime to what we're hearing right now. Nanda Maharaj, the gopis, other residents of Vrindavan, completely absorbed, and Prabhupada is saying that's Krishna. They're perceiving, and Uddhava says you're perceiving Krishna 24 hours a day, basically. So that's like the love that you have for, real love is to be thinking about, pleasing the other person. So they're always thinking about pleasing Krishna. And Bharat Maharaj, in that example, even though he was meditating, he was what happens to us, and we see it in everyday life. We actually start trying to love other people. In Bharat Maharaj's case, was the deer. Give him, some care. But it's self-centered. We think, naturally we're taught in the material world that usually what we can get even though we didn't think philosophically in that way, what can we get out of this relationship, right? Usually happens with friends. A lot of friends, it's like there's different kinds of friends. Friends that if you they don't say this, but it's basically if you scratch my back, I scratch yours, right? So if you're not coming to help me when I need it, maybe once, that's it. It's like you're not a really good friend, right? And but actually, and we see that in different relationships, different kinds of relationship. But it shows us, and this, I was just visualizing the contrast between two of them, that what it is to actually love, or just be absorbing Krishna, or just to be absorbed on yourself. Try to get you could say appreciation, whatever it is, just enjoyment. Try to get it. You try to get enjoyment instead of actually giving. So it is. I know it made me think about trying to have a better mindset and approach to actually devotional service and the, relationship with everybody, including devotees, especially devotees, but everybody. Even when when you meet people for the first time, or even old friends, that we're trying to give Krishna, but we also have to try to give Krishna in a way they can actually take it at their own speed and level. This is so important to so they can try. Even though because people are looking all the time, you can see that. And one of the things that this revealed to me is like it's talking about Krishna reciprocating, and he says he's explained in this chapter also how he is forgetful and forgetfulness and remembrance. So he's reciprocating. So we all have, everybody either wants to forget Krishna or wants to remember, and we just have to also deal with that. How we can try them to go to the side of trying to wanting to remember Krishna. Really, that's the the tricky part. So almost no time left. Anybody, please, questions, comments? Nothing? Everybody awake? Yes. Yes, that conception, body and soul, yeah. I was trying to explain to her also how just the practice, like especially like no meat eating, is one of the, I gave the classic example that, if you want to travel, you have to go to take an airplane, you have to go to the airport type of thing, and she got that, so that's why, trying to explain, if you actually practice, and we're talking about Anthony, right? When he started, now he's like, I can't believe, what's going on, perceiving the whole change. And it's hard for people to understand that. You actually have to, the practice is actually helping you to take off, and to understand those things. Matos, you were going to say something? You did this. Yeah. Anyways, but yes. Yes. Trying to get them to want to remember Krishna. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Taksham Bharavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandar Akom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Priya Priti Manti Pasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adi Purusham Amaham Bhajami 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 Govindam Adi Purusham Amaham
Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Bracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Vaskajadi Satarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Bracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Vaskajadi Satarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Radha Golokananda, Shri Radhe. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Shri Radhe. Radhe, Jaya Giri Govardhan, 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 Jaya Giri Govardhan. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Shila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Shila Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Gurudeva Jaya, Gurudeva Shila Gurudeva Jaya, Gurudeva Jaya, Gurudeva Jaya, Gurudeva Shila Gurudeva. Jai Om Vishnu Pad Harmanas of ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada. Brahmacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Radha Krishna Gopa Gopanath Shai Mukunda Radha Krishna Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Mayapur Navani Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Dham Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Ki. Srimati Tulsi Devi Ki. Harinam Sankirtan Ki. Brihat Madanga Ki. Samaveda Bhaktavinda Ki. Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shishi Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So just a quick announcement before chanting Shikshastika is that we'll be having a Harinam this Saturday at 5:30 in the evening in Durham, and I'll send out the notification soon. We haven't been in Durham for a long time, since I think before the pandemic. It's going to be at 5 Points. I'll give you the address too. Well, it is for some people. Yeah, another one. Well, we're hoping. Well, yeah, I was technically 1 year older. Yep. Anyway, it's good to be here. Yeah. Chaito Darpanam Marjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vijavadu Jivanam Anandam Bhuri Vardhanam Pratipanam Pranamrita Swadanam Sarvatmasnapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapitani Amrita Smaranena Kala Etadrishita Vakripa Bhagavan Mamapi Durdaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga Trinada Pisunichena Tarora Pisuhishuna Amani Namana Dena Kirtaniya Sadahari Nadanam Najanam Nasundarim Kavitam Vajagadisha Kamae Mama Janmani Ishvare Bhavatad Bhaktir Ohaita Ki Twai Ainanda Tanuja Kinkaram Patita Mam Vishame Bhavam Buddha Kripayata Vapata Pankaja Stita Duli Sadrishim Vachintaya Nayanam Galashu Daraya Varanam Gadgadaridaya Gira Pulakarnishitam Vapukada Tavanama Grahane Bhavishati Yugayatam Namishena Chakshusha Pravashayatam Shunayatam Jagat Sarvam Govindam Virahena Me Ashlisha Vapadamritam Panastumam Adarshanam Marma Hatakarotuva Yatatava Vindatolam Patomat Prananatastusa Eva Napara. Victory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life, of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss, and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious. O my Lord, congregational chanting of your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these names you've invested all your transcendental energies. There's not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness you enable us to easily approach you by your holy names.
but I'm so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them. One should chant the holy name of the Lord with a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than a straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and should be ready to offer all respects to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I simply want your cause of service birth after birth. O Son of Maharaj Nanda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet somehow or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms at your lotus feet. O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? O Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, or makes me brokenhearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord, unconditionally.